Are you ready? Stand by.
Welcome to the Three Gun Show, brought to you by Armalite Rifles. I'm your host, Dave Hartman. My guest this week is engineer, match director, and co-founder of the first IDPA club in Colorado, Mark Passamaneck. And we discuss a very unique match coming up in 2018, the Aguila Cup. If you're new here, the Three Gun Show is a weekly podcast that is all about practical shooting. I shot my first three-gun match in 2011 and completely fell in love with it. Since then, I've shot USPSA, practical shotgun, two-gun, and PCC matches. I have rimfire and precision matches on the schedule for 2018, but I always come back to three-gun, as it is the sport that I am passionate about. The Three Gun Show is my way of giving back and introducing new people to the sport. There are over 170 hours of interviews with top competitors across a multitude of disciplines. Each week, we discuss topics such as gear, technique, training, mental game, and we joke around and laugh along the way, especially when we discuss match travel stories. If you like this type of content, there are several bonus podcasts that you can access as a supporter of the Three Gun Show on Patreon. Patreon is a subscription service that allows you to directly support creators on an ongoing basis. You can find details on these bonus podcasts and become a supporter at patreon.com/threegunshow. That's Patreon. In this week's podcast, Mark and I discuss the Aguila Cup, a unique match that is based on sporting clays, but also has a rimfire and three-gun component, and a huge cash payout for the top performers in each category. We also discuss why matches like these are important for the shooting community to support and how you can prepare for this match. Now enjoy this one with Mark Passamaneck. Mark, welcome back to the Three Gun Show.
Thanks, Dave. Good to be here.
It's good to have you here, man. We're in the Three Gun Show studios.
Yeah, it's a cool place. I like it.
The world headquarters.
Yeah.
Come a long way. What do you think?
I think it's cool. I like the stuff. I like the layout. I could spend some time here.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff happening here. Like I showed you behind you, there's a workbench. We're going to be doing some install videos and stuff like that. I got some more lighting coming in, backgrounds and all that. We're getting a little professional here.
Cool. It looks good.
It's not really my style, but we're going to go professional.
All right.
How you doing, man?
Doing good.
What have you been up to?
I've been busy. 2017 was an interesting year.
Mm-hmm.
I shot a little fewer matches than normal. As you know, I shoot in some precision. I think I found out that I hunted 32 days.
Very cool.
Working on a totally new company, not even gun related. That Dean Graves and
I do.
Drew Bolt. So we're doing something in the oil industry.
Oh, very cool.
It's pretty cool. So
exciting. And
yeah.
So are you the engineering arm of that, I would assume?
We're all kind of equal parts in what we're doing. There obviously is a technology portion, so yeah, I'm doing some technology stuff, and it's actually a patent and a process my dad developed many years ago, and we're going to try to take it mainstream.
Interesting. Well, that's great to hear.
So,
well, cool. So I know that you've been up to some stuff in the shooting sports as well, and most recent, or I guess the biggest thing that stands out in my head was the American Marksman and the success you guys had with that.
Right.
So for people who may have been hiding under a rock or like me don't have cable, what is the American Marksman and what did you guys do with that?
So the American Marksman was a couple of things combined. Outdoor Channel wanted a TV show, and some of the people who were involved in Outdoor Channel, also Cronky Sports, which is the Pepsi Center and the Avalanche and Nuggets, all that.
It's like anything sporting related in Colorado,
right?
Has a big K in front of it.
So they had done this thing called 50 for 50, where they took lacrosse players from 50 states and created a tournament. Very successful with it. So they did events, and they're like, "Hey, let's do a shooting sport thing." So that Michael Bain called me up and he said, "Hey, how'd you like to run $1 million three-gun match?" I'm like, I could do that. They brought me in and
$1 million three-gun match?
Yeah, well, that didn't happen. But anyway, they brought me in, they sat me down and said, here's our concept of 50 for 50, and we'd like to do that, but we'd like to do it with three-gun.
Mm-hmm.
And amateurs and loaner gear. And I'm like, no. And so when they explained what they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it, between Michael Bain and I, we kind of retooled it a little bit. And that's where American Marksman came from.
Mm-hmm.
So the theory was to get people who had not competed, who had not been in the competitive shooting sports, but were plinkers and hunters and those types of guys, CCW type folks, give them a taste of competitive shooting. So we did what basically is a postal match, and I assume you know what a postal match is.
Yeah, so I do, but maybe some of the listeners don't.
So a postal match is where everybody has the same, quote, course of fire,
Right.
but it's shot all over the country and you mail it in.
Right. And so, like, IDPA does this, right?
They do. They do some, and Glock Shooting Sports Foundation does some
that's right.
some postal leagues.
Uh-huh.
So basically, American Marksman went to 200-plus ranges across the country and said, here, we'll give you a timer, we'll give you targets, we'll give you score sheets, and here's how you run this postal match. So people from all over the country went in and shot this 22 rimfire with pistol or rifle all over the country, and based on their scores, they qualified to shoot regionals. And then there were 9 regionals, and the regionals were 5 stages where we had a CZP-09 with a laser. You shot it into dark.
Cool.
A Tactical Solutions pistol, a Tactical Solutions rifle, different stages. We had a Kel-Tec PCC, so, PCC phase. We were there a little early.
Innovators.
Yeah. And then we had a Ruger American Marksman rifle. It was shooting a gong at 100 yards.
Is that bolt-action rifle?
Bolt action.
Okay.
Yeah. So we tried to mix a bunch of different disciplines together. Aguila came in with the centerfire ammunition. We had somebody else come in with the rimfire ammunition. We got the guns given to us by the various companies. Tactical Solutions was phenomenal in helping us keep all those guns running, and we sent them back in between 2 matches, and they rebuilt them all.
Nice.
So the culmination of that was we had 4,000 people shoot regional events, most of who have never competed before.
Wow. That's big.
Yeah, and that aired, this week. A year ago, I was down at CMP Talladega in an ice storm running the match. It was crazy. But the
it reminds me of another topic we need to talk about, and that's where we choose to put our matches and when.
Yeah. So we took those regionals with 5 stages, and we blew it up into the finals. The finals had 37 people.
Mm-hmm.
So the top lady, junior, mil LE, and male from each of those divisions went and competed. And all the guns and ammunition were again supplied. I did a sporting clays portion. They shot CMP 30 carbines.
Oh, okay.
Shot 45s. Shot plate racks. Shot some precision rifle. Did a lot of different things. There was a TV show that aired on Outdoor Channel, and I think it was on Sportsman's Channel later. So you can go watch it, take a look at it. How they filmed that with the aerials and stuff was one of kind of Michael Bain's dreams of how he wanted to produce a show.
Yeah.
It came out really well. But I still have literally hundreds of people that competed in that competition because I was the gun guy. I went to every match. The other people that were working for Outdoor Channel with me on that program, they were sports marketing folks. They weren't gun people.
Right.
And so, we have people shooting IDPA, USPSA, 3-gun, precision rifle all over the country who had never competed before.
Yeah, I shot with 2 of them at the Wyoming Magpul Governor's match.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
What was it, Renee?
I don't remember the young lady's name, but Riley Bowman was the other guy.
Right.
I remember him because he's a Colorado dude, and he hung out with us. And
yep. So Riley
went to
the finals, got to be friends with him because of it. Dane Peterson won the whole thing. Got a big $50,000 check.
$50,000.
$50,000.
Dang.
And the dude had never shot a match before.
Really?
He's just an outdoorsman, hunter, fisher. Great guy, just a great guy. But now he's competing.
Very cool.
And so we brought in a bunch of people, and it was because of the match format that, and there was some angst, but we said, hey, if you are in the top 10% of any national shooting sports organization or have competed and finished in the top 10% of any major match,
right,
you can't do this.
Right.
So we kicked all the top shooters out. I mean, probably, I would say almost everybody who's ever been on your show could not have even entered this match.
Well, you even told me at SHOT Show 16 or 15. It was 15.
Yeah.
That I couldn't shoot it. I was
right.
like,
No,
can't. I guess
you're too good, man.
All right. That's a low bar.
It was a low bar, and but it's interesting the reasons that people came out to shoot is because they didn't have to shoot against Jerry Mikulik.
Yeah.
They didn't have to shoot against Greg Jordan.
Yeah.
They didn't have to shoot against Patrick Kelly. You know,
we've seen a lot of discussions in the 3-gun groups lately of I'm not coming out because. And I think I'm hypersensitive to it because of what I do with the 3-gun show. And, I like encouraging people to come out. But my attitude is if I see something cool and I want to try it, I just go do it.
Right.
Like that's what I did with CrossFit. It's what I did with obstacle racing. It's what I did with 3-gun. And 3-gun was my very first thing. I went out with all the wrong gear and did it. So I have trouble understanding and relating to that. But I'm finding that there's a lot of people out there that unless they have the exact right rifle, the exact right pistol, the exact right shotgun, that they're not going to go do it.
And I think that's true. And I think I won't be negative, but I think there's some personality types that are just like, I'm going to jump in, I'm going to jump off the cliff, and I'm going to land wherever I land.
Mm-hmm.
There's other people like, I'm not jumping off the cliff until I can make sure that I'm going to land okay.
Yeah. Well, and there's a certain level of like ego with it. Like people are afraid to be embarrassed because Jerry smoked them so much, right?
Right.
But for me, like I'm not afraid to be embarrassed. Like I guess I take that back. I am afraid to be embarrassed, but I get over that.
Sure.
And I understand like, well, if this is something I want to do, I'm going to suck the first time.
Right.
But people want to be good the first time.
Whether you look at Myers-Briggs or you look at, the 4 animals personality types, we all have different personalities.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think most of the people who are in PRS and 3-gun are generally type A people. Mm-hmm. They may be a type A plus or type A minus, whatever, but they're type A people. There's a whole nother group of people out there who would enjoy doing what we do if we would help them get in. And that's a sticky subject. Because I'm not sure I have the answer. I don't think anybody has the answer.
You and I have discussed this like many times. Like every time we see each other, we're talking about this. Like how do we get people to shoot competition? Because you and I both really enjoy it.
Right.
It's for me, it's become a lifestyle. So
and I think American Marksman was one of those decent steps towards getting a bunch of people who have never shot competition to try it, taste it, like it.
So why is there not an American Marksman too?
Came down to economics. Mm-hmm. There were some personnel issues. I mean, Brian Tatum, great guy. He started out being my boss. Mm-hmm. And 3 weeks before the Colorado Regional, which was the first one, he left to take another job.
Oh, okay.
And so kind of didn't have a boss, and there were some other things. When you look at any of these big media groups, and I hope I don't step on anybody's toes, it's what have you done for me lately?
Right.
And, even Michael Bain, I'm not going to, violate any confidences, but he will tell me stuff like, they were going to do this, now they're going to do that. So they change. They change what they think is good for their sponsors, what they think is good for their company.
And what's going to put eyeballs on the TV, right?
Yeah. And so, while I have a passion to get people shooting, I love the shooting sports. That's always my first thing is this good for the entirety of the shooting sports if I'm going to do something new? Other people look at it and go, hey, can we make money off of this?
Right.
Or can we help our sponsors with it? And it's not good or bad, just is. Mm-hmm. So I think that was the main reason is that they just did not see the economic benefit of that first year.
Right.
Personally, I think if they had done it 2 or 3 years, the economic benefit would have been there.
Yeah, and I feel the exact same way. There's like a certain momentum, right? The first year, the 3-gun show, we reached a ton of people, but the second year we reached like a shitload of people.
Right.
And this next year that we're coming into here is going to be the third year, if my math is good. Yep. And so, I want to reach even more people,
right?
And bring those people into the sport and show them like how cool and how fun it is. And I think we do a pretty good job of that. Like with the podcast, we always talk about like training and stuff of that nature, but we always joke around and have fun too. And it's that part of 3-gun that brings people in and brings people back.
Right. I mean, I think we've talked about this before that to some degree, whether it's 3-gun precision or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
this is kind of people's cheers.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they go where their friends are. They go people that are like-minded.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going to sit on the couch and play video games and you want to do something active, it's a good sport.
Right. Well, and then to build off of what you were saying earlier, when you have 1 year of the American Marksman, it's difficult to create a culture.
It is.
Off of a one-time thing, right?
Right.
So another thing that you're doing that has kind of been around for a while and you're bringing back, Rimfire Challenge, right? So that started off as like NSSF Rimfire, or did it start off as Ruger?
So Michael Bain, he's got a theme here, right? Michael Bain wrote me into that.
He must have boxes of 22s or just cases everywhere.
He just calls me and says, "Hey, Mark, how about this?" I'm like, "All right." But Michael Bain and I started the third IDPA club in the country together. That's where I first met
Here
him.
in Colorado?
Here in Colorado. It was Michael Bain, Tom Judd, and myself. We started that club, ran IDPA for 5 years, and then got out of it and fixed all my bad habits.
Cover!
I love all shooting sports, but there are some that do cater more to one personality than another.
Right.
So anyway, Ken Jorgensen, who is on the current board for Rimfire Challenge Shooting Association, and Michael Bain, who's also on the board of the current association, they started Ruger Rimfire Challenge many years ago with a couple of other folks. And it was this doorstep sport.
Right.
This, hey, let's get you involved in competitive shooting. We're going to use the same basic range commands, formats, timers, all that kind of stuff, but we're going to make it cheap and family-friendly. That was huge.
I like that.
So it did not grow the way people thought it should grow. NSSF, Zach Snow and Tisma Jewett are great people. They stepped in with the support of NSSF and said, let's grow the sport. And so they tried to grow it. I agreed to be the match director for the first 3 years under NSSF and run one match in Tulsa and then two at Old Fort Gun Club in Arkansas.
Okay.
And the last 2 years, Worlds were at Cavern Cove in Alabama. So NSSF is not a match director. They're not a match producer. Their goal was to make it healthy, grow it, hand it off, and make it grow. So January 1 of this year, Tim Norris, I already said Michael, Ken, myself, and Heather Martin are the board members for the Rimfire Challenge Shooting Association. And, we've been having – I actually – come here to do your show. I missed a conference call.
Oh, nice.
So, it's something I've been involved in because I really see the kids and the newer shooters as it's an easier step to get into. Like we talked about, you see something you want to do, you jump in both feet.
Right.
There's other people, they need to have more comfort level in jumping into that. If I said, hey, Dave, you want to go jump in a NASCAR? You'd probably do it.
Like, heck yeah, let's
There's
do
a
it.
lot of people go, no, I'm scared to death. That's okay. So that rimfire component is how do we help people get into competitive shooting sports, get a taste, enjoy it, like it, and then once they've gone into the sport and they've understood what they enjoy about it, there's tons of stuff out there to do.
Well, one side benefit that I see too is we're in Colorado. Our state's flipped. It's no longer friendly to guys like you and I, and the matches are a place where kids can go and compete. Right. It's not frowned upon, and then they also meet other kids that are doing the same thing, and it normalizes it for them. So they're not the one person out of like the 300 in their class that are doing it. They're no longer ostracized. They have their group, right? So they can see that this is a normal thing that people do.
And I think it is normal, and we have more and more people shooting shotgun trap in high school and getting college scholarships to it.
Yeah.
There's
I was in Minnesota this summer, and I was staying on Forest Lake Sportsman's Club range where Vortex,
correct.
What do they call it? Nordic Vortex 3-gun.
Correct.
And every single afternoon there's trap club, and one of those days of the week it was all high school kids.
Yep.
Or junior high school, whatever.
So if I went back about 4 or 5 months ago and tried to add up and I found about 25 different colleges and universities that offer scholarships to students who shoot. And they put them on their shooting teams.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You know, Texas A&M has a great shooting team.
Yeah.
University of Florida does. There's some other schools just starting out. There's some schools building ranges.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're in an interesting and exciting period where we can see more emphasis for junior sport shooters
Right.
to get into the sport.
Right. Okay, so we talked about the rimfire challenge, and that's kind of why you're here. There's this big match coming up that you announced on the Facebooks, and I was like, well, that seems awful interesting. And then I dug a little deeper into it, and it just gets more and more and more interesting. And you and I talked a couple weeks ago, and which is why you're here now, because I think this is like a really cool concept, and I want to introduce it to like the 3-gun world, right?
Right.
So the match that we're talking about is, and I even forgot the name, it's the Aguila something or other.
So the 2018 Aguila Cup.
Aguila Cup, that's what it is. Okay. So 2018 Aguila Cup, it's a pretty interesting format. And so it's Aguila Ammunition is the main sponsor, right?
They are the sponsor and the promoter and the organizer.
Right.
All in one. Yes.
Okay, so one of the interesting things that as we dig into this, it just gets more and more threads of interesting. One of the interesting things that you told me is that there's a marketing team behind this match.
Yeah.
Which is like unfreaking heard of. Usually you have like my nephew here knows Instagram, and then that he like puts one post out there or something.
No, this is professionals, people that one of the ladies that I talked to, she was in the PGA and marketing the PGA. Another one did some stuff with tennis, but these are people who work at marketing companies who are professionals in branding, marketing, promoting events.
Awesome.
And this is their job.
And so this is actually an event. So this is like a Aguila Cup. They got a picture of a dude with an over-under on the top. You're like, okay, well this is like some sporting clays thing. And sure enough, it's a big sporting clays match.
It is.
There's like several $1,000s worth of prizes involved in that. But there's also 2 other matches that are attached to this. One of them being the rimfire match, which
Correct.
is what you're heading up.
Yep, I'm going to run that portion.
And then there's a 3-gun match as well.
Correct.
Run by 3-Gun Nation.
Correct.
And if you go to their website, it forces you somewhere else. So I'm not sure what the URL is.
Yeah.
Is it just aguilacup.com or something like that?
It's Aguila Cup. Shot Squid is a company that does match setup promotion type thing.
Okay.
And that was the group that Aguila went to before I was even involved.
Uh-huh.
And so when you go to the sporting clays side, the sporting clays people are used to win score. So there's actually a combination of a couple pages that get driven together there.
Interesting.
We're still trying to get practice score involved to do the 3-gun and rimfire portions of the scoring.
Yeah, so we'll have a link in the show notes, but it does take you to like a Shot Squid page that we're looking at here.
Yeah.
So let's run through this. So this is like 3 different events. So if you only want to shoot, actually this is like what, 5?
Well,
this is a huge thing.
It's like a carnival. It's like it's like going to Cheyenne Frontier Days.
Mm-hmm.
You might see the rodeo, you might see the concert, you might go to the Midway, you might see a horse show. It's a lot of things that should appeal to a lot of different people.
Funnel cakes.
So funnel cakes. Manufacturers Row. There's going to be shooters demos. There's going to be games where you can go and shoot whatever game they come up with and compete for prizes. There's, I don't know if you're familiar with sporting clays enough to know the divisions, but there's a hunter class.
Oh, I have no idea.
So like USPSA, which most of our 3-gunners will be used to, we've got grandmasters down to D class and unclassified.
Right.
Hunter class is unclassified.
That's me.
You suck. You don't know what you're doing. Here's hunter class. So I don't think I'm at liberty to say who the sponsors are for whatever, because I don't think the press releases have come out. But there is a company that has actually put a significant amount of firearms into hunter class.
Cool.
So people who have never competed before come out, compete, can win a gun.
Cool.
So there are those events, FITSAC, I think that's right.
Yeah, we were looking at that.
5 stand, sporting clays, the main events. And then there's obviously the 3-gun vent and the rimfire vent.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's something for pretty much everyone as far as what you compete in, but there's also some breakdowns. So like
Right.
if you like to do 3-gun and rimfire, you won't be able to shoot the main event,
Which is the Sporting Clays event.
which is Sporting Clays.
Right.
And that's
because that's a 2-day event, right?
it is.
And so what does like a major match of Sporting Clays consist of? Is that like, I don't know, 50 stations, 100 stations? What is that even?
So typically they count targets.
Okay.
And I think in this match, I think it's 200 targets
Okay.
is what the main event is. So the Fossil Point has, I think, 30 some odd stations.
Oh, cool.
And so I don't know how they're going to break that up. That's their specialty. That's what they do. I mean, they run major Sporting Clays events. But you would shoot a variety of stations. So you might shoot 10 stations in the morning and 10 stations in the afternoon. They might be different. They might be the same. I'm not sure how they're going to format that.
Okay.
But when you shoot a station, you're shooting 10 rounds.
Right. Okay.
10 targets with 10 rounds of ammunition.
I got you. So 10 rounds, 20 stations, 200 targets.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. So that runs over 2 days. And then over those same 2 days is the rimfire match. Describe what a rimfire match consists of.
So rimfire is a little bit similar to Steel Challenge, if you're familiar with that. But rimfire is shooting a pistol and a rifle. You have to do both at static steel targets. Our targets are typically 8 inches or larger in diameter.
Okay.
We have anywhere from 5 to 7 targets. One of those targets being red, and usually we paint the post red, and that's your stop plate.
Okay.
So you run 5 strings on a stage, and we take your best 4 strings and give you time. We throw 1 out. So you start with the guns in your hands, not from a holster.
Is there like a stick you aim at?
So there's a starting marker that will be on the ground, and
Okay.
you have to aim the gun at that starting marker.
Mm-hmm.
And so the same commands we use in 3-gun and USPSA, make ready, are you ready, stand by. At the beep, you shoot your targets.
Okay.
And they record the time, they write it down. You do that 5 times, and your best 4 give you a time.
Okay. So this is very Steel Challenge-y type of format.
Very fast. We're looking at 1.5 to 3-4 second runs for the top guys on these 5 to 7 targets out to maybe 25 yards.
Okay. Cool.
So if you were shooting rimfire only on Saturday, you shoot pistol, and on Sunday you'll shoot rifle.
Okay.
Same
Now,
4
do you
stages.
Same
but
4 stages? Okay.
I'm going to tweak them a little bit.
Gotcha.
So the rifle stages, I'll probably move the stop plate back. I might move a couple targets around.
Oh, so it's not like written set stages like it is in Steel Challenge.
Steel Challenge is what I call prescriptive. There's 8 stages.
Like
and-
Bianchi Cup kind of thing.
Right. Rimfire is Rimfire Challenge lets the match designer or the stage designer design his stages like he wants.
Okay.
So
That's
you
cool.
know what a Texas Star is.
I do.
So at one of the matches I did basically where you had the 5 static plates that were around on the outside, and then the center was the stop plate.
Okay. Cool.
I might have a V pattern, but where you put that stop plate
Uh-huh.
in the sequence is really what dictates to the top shooters the order they're going to shoot those targets in.
Right. Now this isn't like action shooting. It's not dynamic. You're doing it from one
Standing
position.
in a box.
Okay.
Yep. So it's the stages are not prescriptive, meaning that we change them from match to match.
Mm-hmm.
You're not drawing from a holster, and you're not moving.
Now, do you go around with a squad like you do in action shooting?
Yep.
Okay.
Same type of thing. So it's
Is there a reset, or are these?
No.
Okay.
no. After
I like that.
after a shooter shoots, somebody goes down and paints the targets.
Okay.
And so that's for if you're shooting and you're like, hey, I don't think I had a miss. We go down and we count the spots.
Right.
So
Right.
we do paint after each shooter, but it's very fast. A 5 or 6 or 7 target array with a 15-person squad, you can run it like under 30 minutes.
Oh,
Easy.
okay. Now, this sounds cool. I'm trying to think of like what gear I have at home that I can game this with. So Ruger 1022, is that completely acceptable?
So there's 2 divisions in Rimfire Challenge, open and limited.
Okay.
I'll do limited first. Limited has no optics.
All right.
Other than that, it's pretty much wide open. So a Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Beretta, Browning 22 rimfire pistol. There's no reloading.
Oh, cool.
So you can start with 11 rounds in your gun, but if you shoot all 11 rounds and you haven't stopped plate yet, your time is 30.
Oh.
And that's the worst time you can have is 30. So that's your throwaway. But we do not allow reloading.
Okay.
Okay. We do allow comps, fiber optic sights on your pistols, but it's just no optical sights. Rifle, same kind of thing. I mean, yes, the 10-22 is very popular, so are AR-22s, AR-15 based 22s. If you have an optical sight of any kind, red dot, scope, whatever, you're an open.
Okay. And is open, or are there still some restrictions there?
There are some minor restrictions, but it's pretty much open.
Okay.
Almost everybody is using a red dot in open.
Right.
They're not using magnified optics because
Right.
the targets are really close.
Which one's the most competitive division?
Open is typically where the top shooters come from.
Okay.
But then you've got a guy like Colby Pavlock. I don't know if you've heard the name.
Yeah. I follow him on Instagram.
He won a couple of matches shooting limited, beating the high open shooter. Guy's just too fast for his own good.
Yeah.
He's a great shooter, really fast.
Very cool.
So it depends on the match to some degree. As a 3-gunner, I tend to do better shooting limited than I do shooting open because I don't shoot open gear.
Right.
So when I shoot open gear on the rifle, awesome. When I shoot an open pistol, I'm like, where's that dot?
Oh, I know. I do that too. Anytime someone hands me
where's the dot?
Their open gun, I'm always like, your dot's not on. Like, oh, no, it is.
Yeah. So, if you're used to shooting limited, shoot limited. I know there's a couple top 3-gunners have already signed up for the triple threat. We'll talk about that in a second, to shoot in the limited division. So the top shooter in limited, the top shooter in open, the top shooter in 3-gun, and the top shooter in sporting clays all get prizes, cash prizes.
Right.
So there's division payouts, based on, high in the division that Aguila is going to pay out. And there's some category recognitions as well.
So what I'm thinking here, so it's like what, only $145 for the rimfire match?
I think that's
$100?
right.
Let's look.
I'm not real good with getting through the website, to be honest with you. People have asked me questions, and
$100.
Yeah.
So $100 to enter just the rimfire portion, includes registration fees, shooter goodie bag, 2 drink tickets, and VIP concert and a T-shirt. So
and it's a good concert.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute here, but I'm kind of pumped about that. That might be the reason I go down. But so $100 to shoot this. Are we going to see like the top rimfire dudes in the nation come down and snipe this from us?
We should. I mean, John Nagel's a sponsored shooter for Aguila. He's going to be there shooting it. I'm sure he's going to pick open or limited. Don't know which one he's going to enter. But if I had to bet money, I'd say he's going to be in the top 4 or 5.
Okay.
There's a couple other guys that are rimfire shooters that I would definitely say are going to be in the top couple 5. But when it comes to the triple threat, I think it's going to go to a 3-gunner. I really think so.
So for the 3-gun portion there, it's $100 as well.
Correct.
Now that includes all the same stuff that we were talking about and a membership to 3-Gun Nation.
Yep.
You're shooting 3 classifiers. The classifiers are on the website there, so you know what to practice and everything.
Correct.
Now, is this the same thing? I bring my own gear to this?
Yes.
Okay. And are there divisions for this?
They have not said what the division's going to be. It's just going to be one division.
Oh, it is?
My assumption is that they're
probably open, right?
Well, my assumption is they're going to do either factory or practical.
Okay.
Just to keep it more mainline.
Interesting.
But they have not chosen that division. I hope they get that done pretty quick.
Okay. So if I'm going to come and shoot the rimfire, obviously I'm staying for the 3-gun. That's $200 in here. And then now there's this other thing that we were talking about, the triple threat. What is the triple threat?
So the triple threat is something that I really lobbied Aguila to put together. They did. They put the sponsor package out, and Brownells has come in with a $5,000 sponsorship for the triple threat.
Sweet.
So the triple threat is the person who has the highest combined score of 3-gun, rimfire, and the 5-stand.
Okay.
So you're going to enter 3-gun as one event. Everybody will be running heads up. So the top shooter in that will get 100 points. The top shooter in limited and the top shooter in open rimfire will get 100 points. And then the top shooter in the 5-stand will get 100 points. And then it's what did you do in the other groups?
So then the highest combined score of those three gets that prize.
Yeah, they're going to get a $5,000 prize package that's going to be, guns and gear. Tactical Solutions has already committed to a rifle for it. Burst Optics is already committed for high-end optic and set of binoculars. We have some other guys we're working with. So it's going to be a $5,000 prize package.
Cool. Now the 5-stand, this is kind of interesting. So the 5-stand is $145, but includes ammo, and I don't have to bring guns for this. And we were talking about this earlier because I know like shotgun guys are super finicky about their shotguns. So what's going on with the 5-stand?
So they're providing over-under shotguns, and one of their sponsors for Aguila Cup has come in, said we'll provide the shotguns. Aguila is providing their mini shells.
Yeah. So what are mini shells?
Mini shells are like 1.5 inches.
Okay.
So
are we still gonna be able to hit birds with those?
Yeah, they're like 1,145 feet per second.
Huh.
With I want to say it's a 7/8 ounce load.
Okay.
But 5-stand is a little different from sporting clays in that you have anywhere from 5. Usually it's 5 different sets of traps out there, and you shoot them from a variety of positions. And so you go along the line, you shoot position 1, and they will tell you what birds are going to be thrown. So you may have a bird from trap 2 and trap 7.
Okay.
So that pair comes out, and you shoot those 2.
Right.
And then it goes to your shooter to your right, and it goes on down the line till everybody's shot. Then you rotate to the next position. You may have only 1 bird to shoot from the next position. It's a total of 25 birds in the 5-stand. And so you're shooting those from a variety of positions, from a variety of traps. It's not exactly like sporting clays in which you sit there and you get to shoot the exact same double 5 times. You don't really ever see the same presentation. So your wing shooter has maybe a little bit of advantage over the trap shooter. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Interesting. So
it's fun.
So is that just one round then? So there's one round that it's based on?
I'm not sure how that works, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I probably should find that out for you.
That's cool.
I think it is one scored round. I'm not sure if there's a warm up to that. I'm not sure exactly how that works.
Gotcha. And now if all that doesn't sound like fun and you're just in it for the sporting clays, that's a $299 entry fee.
Right, and that has a couple things. There's a prelim, and there's also the main events.
Okay.
And so there's some other things that you can do. Regardless of what events you actually enter, there will be those other games and things that you can go and shoot too.
Right. So. And so for the several winners of rimfire, of 3-gun, and sporting clays, there's like $65,000 in prizes.
Well, there's $65,000 in cash and prizes to the whole thing.
Right.
Rimfire and 3-gun have an allocation. I can't remember what the number is, like 15%, something like that. So the people who win those and down a ways will get cash prizes.
Okay.
They're pretty significant cash prizes.
Yeah.
I mean, more than we see at most matches.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, okay, so you told me one thing earlier that I find interesting. So there's been matches in the past where it's like, hey, stage win here is like $1,500, $2,000 or something like that. Right. And then you get to the prize table and you find, well, this guy also took second place, but now he can't walk the prize table because he took a $1,500 cash prize for a stage win.
Right.
And that sounds like the same sort of thing we're going to see here.
So there will be one winner of the triple threat.
Right.
So that prize package, which is really the only major prize package at the whole match, will go to one person.
Because the rest of the prizes are cash.
The rest of the prizes are cash.
So this one prize package from Brownells and all the other folks goes to the triple threat winner, and then if that person wins first in, say, rimfire, or first in, say, 3-gun, they're not eligible for that first place prize, right?
He would forgo that prize, or she would forgo that prize, and it would roll down to the second place person.
Okay.
So whoever wins the triple threat, they get that prize package, and then everybody else in their divisions. So say the person who won the triple threat got second in 3-gun and fifth in rimfire and ninth in 5-stand.
Mm-hmm.
They would vacate all of those prizes and they would roll down to the people below them.
Okay.
And they would just take that one single prize.
I gotcha. Cool. Well, sounds like fun. I like the idea of the multidisciplinary sort of thing, and this is like an actual event. It's not just a shooting match.
It's an event.
Yeah.
I mean, the manufacturers will be there in huge. They're bringing out their trailers and their corporate staff. I mean, not just a person. I mean, a lot of the sponsored shooters will be there manning their booths. It will be a big, like a mini. It's not going to be like a SHOT Show, obviously.
Right. Kind of like
but you'll be able to see the manufacturers' wares and what they actually sell and what they display. Probably more so than any other match that I've been to. You're going to have that manufacturer presence.
And what one cool thing that I noticed, I was cruising through the sponsorship package that they have on their website, and first of all, they're asking for significant dollar amounts for sponsorship.
Yes,
they
are
more than any other package I've ever seen from a match.
Yes,
but if you look at what's included, there's like for the higher levels, it includes your hotel, includes like meals, obviously the concert, and
right.
And that's for their like corporate people. So it's interesting because they're trying to entice like actual participation from their sponsors rather than just sending a check and then looking the other way.
Right. You know, what we've been used to in 3-gun is if you've got a sponsor, even a title sponsor, they send some guns and they may send a representative. They're really relying on the match to promote them and sponsor them to try to get some return on that investment for being a sponsor.
Right.
In this case, when you sponsor, you're all in. I mean, they expect their sponsors to be there. They expect their sponsors to interact with the public as well as competitors. So to me, it's a step forward in allowing them to be present. They're going to go to some other. Again, it's stuff I probably can't say yet, but I've heard the names of companies that they've talked to that they're going to go to in Texas and get some help in
Toyota.
I don't know.
They build trucks there.
Yeah, they do. But get some help so that the public can see it. So this is definitely open to the public.
Oh, cool.
I think that they're going to try to involve the Texas Parks and Wildlife, see if they can get them involved. So it's a much bigger scale of marketing and promotion than I've seen it, even the big matches that I've been to that were all corporate sponsored.
Right. So this is it all sounds like really cool, and it does sound like a bit, like we were saying, like a big event. So the concert that is going to be attached to this is Wade Bowen, right? Yeah. So if you listen to country music, you know who that is. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty significant in and of itself to have like an actual decent concert to be attached to the show.
Yeah, and I saw it when I was there. There is a new hotel and conference center in Decatur. Mm-hmm. One even open when I was there. That's where all this is going to happen. Right. It's a phenomenal place, and these are non-endemic, non-gun industry corporate sponsors that are getting involved. The city, the hotel and corporate center, having a concert with a big name headliner.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is cool.
So when is the match?
It is June. I will get my dates wrong. I think 17, 18, 19.
Yes.
I think that's correct.
17, 18. It's got to be 16, 17, 18.
16, 17, 18? Okay.
Let's look.
Yeah, June 14, which is Thursday, through Sunday, June 17,
there you go.
2018.
All right. And this, you said Decatur. It's Texas.
Yeah.
We got to talk about that, Mark. Texas in June.
Wasn't my choice. You know how I am about heat.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've noticed a startling trend of crappy location selection throughout the year. And this seems like a fall match for Texas. And like maybe we hold it in Minnesota in June.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have quite as much physicality as we are normally used to in three-gun.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be more of a gentleman's match in terms of how much we have to physically exert ourselves. So I think that portion, I think I'm okay with it. And Fossil Points, the folks who run that are awesome people.
Yeah, I was checking out their website. It looks like
and
a
I'm sure
pretty
that
decent
they
range.
will have water out in the right places, and I'm sure the VIP tent and the charging stations that are going to be where there's air conditioning are going to be populated. But 3 TV shows are going to come film this.
Yeah, what shows? Obviously, Michael Bain's going to be there.
I know Michael Bain's going to be there. I don't know what the other 2 are.
Okay.
I'm just a little
Right.
cog in the big wheel. But yeah, there's going to be other people there. This is going to be live streamed.
Mm-hmm.
The coverage that they're going to put onto this event is phenomenal.
Nice. Well, and so this brings up like an interesting point. You and I have discussed multiple times that there are, there's dozens and dozens of 3-gun matches right now, and there are several big matches that are unique in competition shooting as a whole that need support
Right.
for various reasons. And it's generally one of those, like, okay, if you look at the match as a match, it may not be your cup of tea, but you got to step back and look at like the big picture. One of the best examples is a match that you and I shot last year, and you RO'd last year.
Right.
Was the Magpul Wyoming Governor's match.
Correct.
Right. Now that was the first time that I've ever seen a governor's office get behind action shooting.
Yeah.
How about you?
It's the first time I've ever seen it.
And you've been in this a lot longer than me.
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen an elected politician
Yeah.
show up at a match and talk doing awards.
Yeah.
Never.
Pretty incredible.
It was, it was like the hair on the back of my head was going, oh, this is cool.
Yeah. Well, so the this type of match with Aguila, the Wyoming Magpul Governor's match, and several others, you gave some examples earlier. So this is kind of like a model that we've seen before where like a corporation gets behind a match and says like, not only is this something that we're going to throw, 15 boxes of ammunition on the prize table and send them a banner, we're going to make this part of our corporate culture, our marketing budget. And in Aguila's case, they're putting, a team of marketers behind the match.
Right. I think that's important for us to understand as 3-gunners is, maybe there's been some angst and some tension about prize tables and where's the sport heading and are we going to continue to grow or are we going to flatline? There's some things to be learned from looking at other types of shooting sports.
Mm-hmm.
The clay target sports are, by any number of metrics you look at, the largest shooting sports.
Right.
And so if you look at that and you say, okay, we've got a sporting clays focused match maybe in Aguila, but they're opening the door for rimfire and 3-gun to be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
How can we not jump at that opportunity? How can we not say, hey, I'm going to go support this, and we're going to show them that we can support this and that we are an integral part of the shooting community as well.
Right.
And hopefully the Aguila Cup grows. I mean, Aguila doesn't just make shotgun ammunition. They do rimfire. They do centerfire. They have one sponsored shooter as of today that I know of, which is John Nagel, who's a rimfire shooter.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that they are considering adding sponsorships in other disciplines. And so that's something to look at. But in my history, and I kind of look back and I look at the Crimson Trace match, which unfortunately you weren't able to shoot.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. It was a great presentation.
So night match.
It was a night match.
Obviously put on by a light and laser company.
Correct. But we also had some of those same elements that we're seeing in the Aguila match, where we had a really nice dinner. We got to sit down. I mean, a lot of these 3-gun matches, you hurry up, you walk your stages, you shoot your stuff, and then by the time it's prize table time, you just want to get your prize and go home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are several matches that I've shot, actually more last year than this year, that were like factories.
Right.
like squeeze the shooter in this side, get him the F out the other side.
Yeah.
And I guess when you that was my first year of shooting outside of Colorado. The only other 2 matches I had shot were the Noveski matches that 3 matches were the Noveski matches that you had run. So as I have more experience in shooting 3-gun, there's more of a draw than going and shooting a stage and getting a prize and going home.
Right. And we talked about this to some degree that we have different personalities, and I have to kind of sit back and go, while I'm not a huge social butterfly, I've got my friends and I like my friends and I like to hang out with them, but I can go hunting with them. I can go to a local match with them. I can see those people. I don't have to travel across the country to hang out with my personal friends. There are people in the shooting sports with families and with different perceptions about what they want out of an event.
Right.
And some of these matches that have done a meal, like FN and Crimson Trace and now Aguila, you have an opportunity to network, to meet other people, to see other things that you wouldn't be able to see before. I mean, I met people at the Crimson Trace dinners I never would have ever met before. Made friends with people I never would have ever met before. Some of that's been beneficial to me. I'm just going to be honest here. Some of that was beneficial. And so I think there's a lot of reasons why this corporate culture match is important. These corporations, whether it was Crimson Trace and FN in the past and now Aguila, they step up and say, hey, we're going to put some of our marketing dollars, some of our passion for the shooting sports, and some of our own personal corporate energy into making this a destination, an event, something that people must attend because we're doing stuff that people like.
Right.
And hitting a lot of the check boxes that would appeal to a lot of different types of people, not just, here's a prize table, here's fast stages, here's long stages, whatever, that you could bring your family to this if you wanted to.
Yeah. Shoot. If you want to go shoot the trifecta, you bring Junior and have him shoot the rimfire.
Sure.
Or her. And, if you're a sporting clays person and you've never dabbled in 3-gun, you can do that as well.
Right. And
I'll lend you my guns even.
Go over and hit some of the games. And the games are going to be shotgun-based games. But First Shots is going to be there. So if you've never tried rimfire, head down to the First Shots tent, try some rimfire. We'll have some guns down there.
Cool.
If you've not ever shot any kind of clay target sports, pick one of the games and try it. You might win something.
Yeah.
And at least get exposed. I mean, one of maybe my faults in competitive shooting is I like to do all of it.
Yeah.
I like to do PRS. I like to do sporting clays. I like to do rimfire. I like to do, 3-gun is obviously, to me, kind of the pinnacle. If you said, Mark, go shoot one match next year, it'd be a 3-gun match.
Right.
Because I get to shoot everything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I like to do it all. So these kind of events, not only can you do a lot of different things, but I think you can be exposed to some areas of the industry, some people that maybe not otherwise you would be able to meet.
Sure. And with 3-gun, we're a very small part of competitive shooting, which is a very small part of the firearms industry, which is a very small part of American manufacturing, right?
Right.
So
hunters are number 1.
Yeah.
And clay target sports is number 2.
Absolutely.
And we're like, dink.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be cool to be able to see their culture and experience that sort of thing. Hopefully they're not like all the shotgunners I've experienced on most ranges, but it's like you said, getting out of your little hole in your little niche and expanding your horizons. It sounds like a good time.
Yeah, and from my perspective, when I see these types of events and types of sports that are conducive to bringing new shooters in, I got to do it because I love the competitive shooting sports.
Yeah, yeah. Same here. We're in the same boat on that. The American Marksman, sounds like it did a really good job of that. Lucas Oil PCC Championship, I think, did a pretty good job of bringing different disciplines together.
Yeah.
I'm not privy to the numbers of new shooters or anything like that, but it was a very unique match. It brought USPSA and 3-gunners, and
there were some rimfire shooters there.
Was there?
Yeah.
Very cool.
That had not shot, center fire type matches before, but they're like, hey, I can do PCC.
Yeah. And there was several heavily sponsored shooters that shot their first match there too,
Yep.
which is kind of weird.
And I don't know if you met them, but we had the Border Patrol team was there. They were there, and a couple guys shooting MP5s.
Oh, yeah?
So
yeah, and several Russians were there shooting 9mm AK what's-he-who's-its. I don't know what they are. But
that was cool, though.
yeah.
It was really cool, and they ran.
And they were loud as heck, too.
They were. Yeah.
It was pretty amazing. It was like, are you guys sure you're shooting the same thing we're shooting?
Yeah. Yep. They were.
Yeah. So big matches like this, big unique matches, how do we identify them, and then how is it best for like an individual to put your support behind it?
Well, first is just attending them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's a big component of it is, if this match goes off and there's 5 people shooting rimfire and 5 people shooting 3-gun,
they're not going to do it again next year.
They won't be there. I mean, they might have the Aguila Cup, but we're going to get kicked out.
Right.
And I think as a smaller segment sport, which we have to realize we are in 3-gun and also rimfire, we need to be willing to do some of the work to say, combine us, put us in some of these bigger matches.
Mm-hmm.
That's first. And then, the folks that have sponsors, tell them to take a look at it. I mean, the exposure that the sponsor going to get at this match is going to be different than what they get in 3-gun matches, but there's still a benefit there.
Yeah, and if you have any kind of like crossover product, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Oh yeah,
right?
Totally. But I think we need to look at where's the health of the sport, where's the health of the industry, and when we look at clay target sports, I think we can learn some things from them, and that they've done good work in bringing in some of the youth and bringing in some of their juniors with the scholastic target programs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we've got junior camps. That's great, but we're hitting a small segment. And my perception is, maybe wrong, but my perception is if we would take some of these juniors and expose them to a wider range of sports than just 3-gun, we might get some better crossover. We might get some better benefit.
Expand on that. How do you mean?
Well, I think that when we have, how many people shoot 3-gun? I'm just going to pick a random number. 10,000 people?
Well, so it depends on what numbers you look at.
Sure.
All right. So Practice Score published recently, I think there's 27,000 unique 3-gunners.
Okay.
And that includes people that have shot one match and never came back.
All right.
Right.
And so, we're
in a
not,
12-month rolling
yeah, and
average.
we may not be retaining some of those people. I think I've told you before, one of the things that I think I did poorly at CRC as a match director is not going to those new shooters who had DQ'd and saying, okay, you DQ'd, here's how we learned from it, come back the next time.
That was me.
We let them walk away, and we didn't chase them down.
Yeah.
And we need to chase them down. There's that whole thing of, I was talking about the crossover. I've seen some juniors come in to 3-gun and get absolutely smoked. That's not saying that there aren't juniors who are 11, 12 years old who have come out and done great.
Right.
There are. Fine. Let them do it. But when we see a junior who's struggling, it's time for us as a community to say, either to the parent if they don't shoot, or to help the parent say, hey, maybe they need to spend some time in IDPA.
Right.
Or rimfire. Or clay targets, or maybe even carbine matches, or even shooting PCC. I mean, I don't know how many PCC matches you've shot. It's easy, right?
One?
But it's easier.
It's way easier. And I didn't even have a rifle, so it was easy for me. I just showed up with a bunch of ammo.
Pistol is hard. And I don't think that we as 3-gunners should discount pistol. I think pistol and shotgun is kind of what sets 3-gun apart, because you have to work at both of those to be really good at them.
Right.
But I think when we're talking about juniors, there's no reason that we can't foster that. Let them shoot one gun, let them shoot either rimfire or PCC. And
PCC is a good confidence builder.
yeah, but how many 3-gun matches have you gone to where there are 9 stages and 5 of them could have been shot completely with a pistol?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, several.
So you run a 3-gun match, pick 5 stages. Those are the junior stages. They can shoot it with a PCC. Make it a $50 entry.
That's actually a really good idea. Well, we saw that with I can't remember if they were local shooters, but we saw that at a major match. There was a young lady who just gave up in the stage like halfway through and was just like, I don't want to shoot anymore.
I know.
And it was, that's one, it's damaging to the confidence, right? You're supposed to do like small wins to build the confidence rather than crush them with, this heavy recoiling shotgun, this, pistol that they can't shoot. That's, double action only and that whole thing. Well, so,
and I don't know if I've told you the story before. I won't say names, but I had to take and walk up to a family.
Mm-hmm.
Mom and dad are shooting and their junior and say, I'm not going to DQ your junior, but they can't continue to shoot. It's made a couple of the ROs a little nervous,
mm-hmm.
and it's just beyond where they should be right now.
Right.
And a couple of cases where that happened, it was not pleasant.
Oh, yeah.
But in this particular case, the father said, oh, well, thank you so much. And I'm sitting there going, well,
this didn't go the way I thought it would.
Why are you waiting for me to say that on the one hand? But yeah, maybe we as match directors, range masters need to be a little bit more involved in saying, hey, not just anybody can enter a 3-gun match. If you're a junior, show that you competed in 3 or 4 local matches first and maybe get a letter from the match director. I mean,
right.
I don't know if you were in racing. I was in racing. And you don't get a competition license until you get signed off by people who say, yeah, you can do it. So, maybe that's a solution. Maybe that's part of the solution. But I think some of these, half match, PCC, half fee type things would be good for juniors.
That's actually a great idea. I never even thought of that. But, I think, we place all the responsibility on the parents, right? And I think for good reason, obviously. But
of course,
parents should be able to, this is from a guy who doesn't have kids, by the way, so take it for what it's worth. Parents should be able to identify, like, look, my son or daughter is not ready for 3-gun. Like I suck at 3-gun, so why would my daughter be good at 3-gun?
Right.
That sort of thing. And then take that step back to rimfire. Like we've talked about before this. We talked about when we were in Wyoming together. We've talked about a number of times, like rimfire matches are like the perfect entry to it because, like you said earlier, same commands, no movement, lighter guns, no recoil.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a whole lot more
so I've got
opportunities.
I've got a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old. My 13-year-old has never shot a 3-gun match yet.
God, is he 16 now?
Blake, 16.
I'm getting old.
He's driving down the street here.
Oh God.
But Hunter, my 13-year-old, he's going to shoot precision.
Mm-hmm.
He can handle the precision gun. He still can't yet handle pistol. He can do it safely, but it just beats him up a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
And shotgun is just a little bit much more. So he's going to shoot some 3-gun matches in 2018. But at 6 years old, he shot in the Rimfire World Championship.
There you go.
Got a plaque. Happy as a clam. So I think sometimes we push our kids too hard.
Right.
My wife and myself, our parenting style is more expose them to it. And if they like it, they're passionate about it, and they're safe about it, facilitate it.
Mm-hmm.
But, one of our kids we exposed to playing an instrument in the band, didn't like it. Did it one year, done. The other one, he likes it more. So we let them try things. And I think in the shooting sports, it's the same thing. There's a lot of different paths out there. There's a lot of different skill sets. There's a lot of different personalities, and it all doesn't have to be just one.
Right. Yeah, and because 3-gun is so fun, such a kick in the pants, we lose sight of that a lot as a community and as a culture.
We do, and I mean, it's fun. I mean, some of the best people I've ever met have been 3-gunners.
Yeah, for sure.
And I still say, like I said before, if I could only shoot one match, it'd be a 3-gun match.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a different subset and a different culture, and we just need to understand that, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, you made a good analogy one time for racing. You said it's like the kart racing or the F1 racing of the shooting sports.
It is.
Right, and there's several progressions that you can make to get there.
It's fast. It's physical. and it takes a lot of skill sets. I mean, I've been shooting PRS, some precision rifle. I'm sorry, PRS just. I mean, it's a different skill set, and there's a lot more mental things that you need to do in shooting PRS, especially long range.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think the hardest PRS match is as hard as even the mid-level 3-gun matches.
Really?
That's my personal opinion.
Huh.
But
all right, send your letters to Mark.
Yeah, sorry. Might get kicked out of PRS now.
Well, Mark, the match that we came here to talk about, the Aguila Cup, sounds like a great time, and it sounds like a very big opportunity for a lot of the 3-gunners listening to go out and show our support for it. Texas is the second biggest market for the 3-gun show, right behind California of all places.
Yeah.
So Texans, if you want to shoot this match, it's outside of Dallas. It's June 14th through the 17th. And that is the whole event. Some of those days are actually for media and for setup and stuff like that. So check the website, and we'll have links to that in the show notes at 3gunshow.com. Mark, anything you want to throw out there, make sure we cover?
Maybe I'll just put an exclamation point on it. I think that people in the rimfire sports and the 3-gun sports being able to shoot a match alongside the clay sports is good for us. It's good for exposure.
Yep.
It's better for us than it is for the clay target sports.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to see this style match format, more the FN, Crimson Trace, Aguila Cup. I think some of these big matches are going to be the format that we see as the top tier in the coming years.
Yeah.
As things change, and they do. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's healthy for the sport in general.
Yeah, so I know that I've got to find a rimfire pistol, figure this out. And
got 4.
You got 4? So Mark, I need to borrow a pistol when we're outside of Colorado because it's not legal to do so here. And I realized when you were talking about rimfire, like I got to call my brother and see if I can get my oldest nephew to come to this.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, it should be fun.
He's a clay shooter, and he wants to shoot 3-gun because he listens to the 3-gun show and all that stuff. So got to make something happen.
Make him do it.
Yeah. Mark, man, this has been a good time. I appreciate you coming out here to Lakewood, to the 3-Gun Show World Headquarters, and
World Headquarters, man. It's
it was
big
great.
time.
Yeah. You got the helipad on the roof and everything.
Yeah, I'll be flying home in a minute.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate your time.
All right, thanks, Dave.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.